Picture this. You walk into a crowded room. Nobody knows your name, and you're not dressed in designer clothes. You don't crack jokes to grab attention. You don't dominate the conversation. You don't even announce yourself. Yet when you leave, people keep asking, "Who was that?" That kind of presence doesn't come from volume or perfection. It comes from something quieter, something most of us spend our lives suppressing: authenticity. We live in a world dominated by filters and facades. We polish our resumes, curate our Instagram grids, carefully select words that won't offend anyone. Yet deep down, what captivates people is rarely perfection. It's vulnerability, courage, and wholeness. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who explored the depths of the human psyche, once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But how many of us dare to claim that privilege? The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, echoed this long before modern psychology existed. They taught that strength lies in owning your mind, not impressing the crowd. Their wisdom wasn't about external applause, but inner mastery. This video, or rather this exploration, is not a guide on how to be charming or popular. Instead, it's about 7 paradoxical ways of living that make people unforgettable. Not by accident, not by manipulation, but by becoming so rooted in who you are that losing you feels like losing something irreplaceable. Let's walk through each of these 7 ways. And as we do, I'll share not just Stoic philosophy, but also modern reflections, personal observations, and hard truths we often avoid. 1. Embrace your authentic self. A revolution against pretending. We've all been trained in subtle ways to perform. As children, we're told not to be too loud, too messy, too opinionated. As adults, we learn to mask our struggles with "I'm fine" and "no worries." Performance becomes second nature. But here's the paradox. Performance may earn you approval, but it rarely earns you love. Because approval is conditional, while love and respect grow from authenticity. Why authenticity is magnetic. Think about the people who left a lasting impression on you. Were they flawless? Did they glide through life without cracks? Probably not. More likely, they were the ones who laughed with abandon, admitted when they were afraid, or cried in front of you without shame. Their authenticity disarmed you. It gave you permission to be real too. And in a world drowning in performance, realness feels like oxygen. The Stoics emphasize this indirectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." He wasn't interested in looking virtuous. He aimed to live it. And people remembered him not because he was emperor, but because he embodied integrity. Personal commentary. Why we hide. Most of us hide because we fear rejection. We think if I show my full self, my quirks, my anxieties, my contradictions, people won't accept me. But let's flip that. If you don't show those parts, what exactly are people accepting? A mask, an edited character, and the longer you wear it, the more exhausting it becomes. What if the very parts you're hiding, the fact that you cry at movies, that you dream of painting even though you work in finance, that you feel restless in small talk, are the exact things that make someone feel deeply connected to you? Practical application. Start small. Share an opinion you'd usually water down. Admit when you're tired instead of saying, "I'm fine." Allow yourself to express excitement without toning it down. Authenticity isn't about oversharing. It's about alignment, ensuring the version of you people see matches the version of you that exists when no one's watching. Being real is revolutionary. In a sea of curated personas, authenticity is not just memorable, it's magnetic. 2. Own your emotional depth. It's not weakness, it's power. Here's another paradox. Society teaches us to hide our emotions to appear strong, yet the people we remember most are those who felt deeply and expressed it courageously. Stoicism, misunderstood. Many think Stoicism means suppressing emotions, but that's false. Epictetus taught not detachment from feelings, but detachment from being ruled by them. The Stoics never said, "Don't feel." They said, "Feel, but don't drown." Marcus Aurelius, in the midst of wars and political chaos, journaled about his fears, doubts, and sorrows. That wasn't weakness, it was awareness. He had power over his mind precisely because he acknowledged its storms. Personal commentary. Emotional honesty. I used to believe that showing sadness made me less respectable. I thought people only wanted strength, not vulnerability. But I realized something. When I only showed strength, people admired me but didn't feel close to me. When I showed sadness, they didn't think less of me. They leaned in closer. Your emotions are not liabilities, they are bridges. They invite others into your humanity. Practical application. If something excites you, don't tone it down. Enthusiasm is contagious. If something hurts, admit it. You'll discover people respect honesty more than pretense. Use emotion as data. Instead of saying, I shouldn't feel this, ask, what is this feeling teaching me? Aristotle wrote about the virtue of moderation, not suppressing nature, but mastering it. Feeling deeply, then directing that energy wisely is one of the greatest strengths you can cultivate. The courage to be too much. People might tell you you're too sensitive, too intense, or too emotional. What they often mean is you're harder to control. But isn't that the point? If you refuse to numb yourself to fit in, you become unforgettable precisely because you remain alive in a world addicted to indifference. 3. Cultivate quiet strength, the power of inner work. Loudness impresses in the moment. Quiet strength lingers forever. The Stoic example, Epictetus was a slave. Marcus Aurelius was an emperor, yet both shared the same philosophy. Control what you can, your inner world. Ignore what you cannot, external chaos. That's why their teachings survived centuries. They weren't built on charisma, but resilience. Personal commentary, the energy of presence. We've all met people who enter a room and immediately shift the atmosphere, not by being flamboyant, but by radiating calm confidence. You can sense their groundedness. They don't need to prove themselves. That kind of presence is cultivated in private. It's born from inner work, reflection, self-discipline, solitude. For me, journaling and long walks have done more to strengthen my character than any motivational seminar. Quiet routines form a reservoir of strength that shows up in moments of crisis. Practical application. Develop a daily practice, journaling, meditation, or mindful reflection. Resist the urge to prove yourself in every conversation. When triggered, pause, respond, don't react. True strength is not the absence of struggle, but the mastery of response. That mastery requires consistency, not spectacle. Why this makes you unforgettable. People remember calm. They remember the one who listened when everyone else shouted, who steadied the room when chaos erupted. That's quiet strength. And in many ways, it's more radical than loud bravado because it reveals an inner fortress built from patience, clarity, and discipline. 4. Draw boundaries without apology, the art of saying no. If authenticity is the foundation, then boundaries are the walls that protect it. Without boundaries, even the most self-aware person will eventually crumble under the weight of other people's demands. Stoic perspective on boundaries. The Stoics taught that we cannot control others, only ourselves. That includes our time, energy, and focus. Seneca wrote extensively about the shortness of life, arguing that most of us waste it serving others trivialities instead of cultivating our own purpose. A boundary is not cruelty, it's clarity. It's telling the world, this is where I end and you begin. This is what I will give, and this is what I will not. Why boundaries make you unforgettable. People who lack boundaries are easy to exploit and easy to forget. They blend into the background because they're always bending. But the ones who stand firm, who know their own worth, leave a sharper imprint. We don't remember the people who always said yes. We remember the ones who had the courage to say no, even when it was inconvenient, even when it risked disapproval. Personal commentary. My own struggle. I used to believe kindness meant saying yes to everyone. Extra work, social invitations, endless favors. But what I really offered was resentment disguised as generosity. People didn't admire me for it. They simply expected more. Only when I began to draw firm lines did I notice two things. The wrong people disappeared. The right people respected me more. Boundaries filter relationships. They reveal who values your presence and who only values your utility. Practical application. Start with small boundaries. Decline a request that drains you. Use clear, short language. I can't take this on right now. You don't owe long explanations. Remember, every yes you give someone else is a no to yourself. The Stoic tie-in. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That principle lived consistently is the essence of boundaries. 5. Build resilience, the unseen glow of survivors. Life will test you. It always does. The question is, will those trials break you or forge you? Stoic endurance. The Stoics faced wars, exile, illness, betrayal. Their philosophy wasn't a luxury, it was survival. Epictetus endured slavery. Seneca endured exile. Marcus Aurelius endured the loss of children, endless wars, and political backstabbing. Yet they emerged remembered not for their suffering, but for their resilience. Why resilience is unforgettable. We remember people not because they never fell, but because they rose again. Resilience leaves a mark. It tells others, you can't control me. Life can wound me, but it cannot define me. Think of the people you admire most. They likely went through something painful, failure, grief, rejection, but they didn't collapse. They kept going. That kind of resilience isn't loud, but it's magnetic. Quiet survival stories. Some of the strongest people I know aren't the loudest. They're the ones who quietly rebuilt after losing everything. They don't announce their battles, but you can see the strength in their posture, the steadiness in their words. Resilience changes your presence. It adds depth to your character. People sense it. And because resilience is rare in a world that seeks shortcuts, it's unforgettable. Practical application. Reframe failure as feedback. Ask, what did this teach me? Develop rituals that steady you, morning routines, exercise, reflection. When hardship comes, resist the urge to dramatize. Simply take the next step. A Stoic reminder. Epictetus said, difficulties show men what they are. You become unforgettable not when life is easy, but when it isn't, and you endure anyway. 6. Commit to growth. The refusal to stay the same. Nothing fades faster than stagnation. Nothing shines brighter than growth. Stoic growth mindset. The Stoics practiced constant self-examination. Marcus Aurelius began each day by reminding himself he might meet the selfish, the rude, the ungrateful. Yet instead of despairing, he used it as fuel to practice patience. For the Stoics, growth wasn't about external achievement. It was about daily discipline, sharpening virtue, cultivating wisdom, building character. Why growth makes you unforgettable. People don't remember those who stayed the same. They remember those who evolved. The classmate who reinvented themselves after years of silence, the colleague who turned failure into mastery, the friend who grew kinder with age instead of bitter. Growth creates contrast. It tells people, I refuse to remain who I was yesterday. That courage leaves an imprint. Personal commentary. The fear of outgrowing. One of the hardest parts of growth is realizing not everyone will celebrate it. Some will resent you, others will try to pull you back. Growth threatens those committed to comfort. But here's the truth. If you shrink to stay familiar, you become forgettable. If you stretch to grow, you become a story others can't stop telling. Practical application. Read daily, even if just a few pages. Books outlast moods. Journal not just to vent, but to track progress. Ask, am I wiser, calmer, kinder than I was 6 months ago? The Stoic tie-in. Seneca once said, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Growth is endless. And those who embrace it, who change, evolve, and expand, become unforgettable not because they're perfect, but because they're alive. Love from fullness, not from need. This may be the most important way of all. Love is unforgettable when it flows from wholeness, not from desperation. The trap of neediness. Many relationships collapse because they're built on need. I need you to make me happy. I need you to complete me. That isn't love, it's dependency. And dependency often suffocates the very thing it longs to preserve. The Stoic approach to love. The Stoics didn't reject love. They simply rooted it in freedom. Marcus Aurelius loved his children, yet reminded himself daily that everything is temporary. Epictetus taught, love fully, but don't cling, because clinging destroys both you and the other. Why love from fullness is unforgettable. We all know the difference between being needed and being chosen. The person who loves you not because they lack, but because they overflow. That's the kind of love that lingers. The unforgettable ones are not those who beg for attention. They are the ones who could stand alone, yet choose to share their wholeness with you. Personal commentary. Choosing wholeness. When I learned to enjoy solitude, reading, walking, even eating alone, I discovered a strange paradox. People wanted my company more. Because when you don't need others to fill your emptiness, your presence feels like a gift, not a demand. This is the essence of Stoic love, complete within yourself, yet generous in giving. Practical application. Spend intentional time alone, learn to enjoy your own company. Enter relationships not to escape yourself, but to share yourself. Remind yourself daily, love is most powerful when it is chosen, not required. A Stoic reminder. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Gratitude, not desperation, makes love unforgettable." Conclusion: the paradox of being unforgettable. We often think being unforgettable means being extraordinary in some grand sense, famous, wealthy, dazzling. But the Stoics, along with countless thinkers since, point to something subtler and more profound. Be real in a world of masks. Feel deeply in a world of numbness. Stand firm in a world of bending. Endure in a world of escape. Grow in a world of stagnation. Love from fullness in a world of need. These aren't quick tricks, they're lifelong practices. They don't make you unforgettable by accident, but by design, because they shape you into someone rare, a whole human being. And that's the ultimate paradox. The more you stop trying to impress, the more you start leaving an impression. So ask yourself, which of these 7 will you begin today? Because the truth is, you don't become unforgettable by waiting. You become unforgettable by living.